started the recording. Yeah. All right.
All right.
All right. All right. All right. Let me go over to Twitch on here so I can make sure to see all the things.
Getting on Twitch.
And all right. Now we're going to do the inaugural play of our intro. One, two, three. Oh, welcome to Geekfit, everybody.
Welcome.
Zach, if you want to start us off with a quote, my friend.
This is from Ellie Wiesel. We must take sides. There may be times when we are powerless to prevent injustice, but there must never be a time when we fail to protest. Most people think that shadows follow, precede, or surround beings or objects. When a person doesn't have gratitude, something is missing in his or her humanity.
That's awesome. What is that? Is that a book? What is that from? I really like that.
It's a quote from Elie Wiesel. He's a Holocaust survivor and author of, I think the most popular book is called Night.
Huh. That's awesome.
And yeah,
Makes
I
the quote
mean,
I found seem a little useless. It's from a fantasy character.
no, I disagree. And I need to do that as our outro still because Driz, man, not to give anything away, but
Spoilers.
yeah, but his story is really cool.
Yeah,
Um, as
that
far as
book's
finding his humanity and everything.
dude, that book series. I,
Mm,
I agree with you, and I think that it's one of my favorite parts of the book. Is I don't know what I liked more, reading the book or reading Drit's journals that he would put at the R.I. Salvatore would put at the beginning of the chapters. They were
mhm.
so just I don't know, just insightful and so just thought provoking. It's so true about some of the stuff he talks about.
There's a lot of truth in fiction, and
Yeah, I agree.
it's really,
They can play
yeah.
with ideas. It's interesting when you get those extreme ideas. You know what I'm saying? So they can kind of play around with them. So I that's why I love fiction.
Me and Driz, like, we've all had those moments where we just want to go completely animal and just run off into the forest and not be human anymore, right? Like I do that all the time.
I think about it constantly. I'm like, I think I could live in the woods. Screw this noise.
That's actually one of the crazy opioid hallucinatory dreams I had in the hospital was I was a werewolf, and
Oh,
it
dang.
was very graphic hallucinations, and I kept biting my cheek so hard that it bled. And
Oh,
yeah, so like,
snap.
yeah, I totally feel Driz where he's
Dang,
coming
dude.
from.
Where do you think that came from? Like,
I was
that's
stuck.
crazy.
I know exactly where it came from. Just being stuck in prone position, not being able to move my body, just wanting to appease that side of myself that wanted to move and do things, like it just was mad. Like, get up, I want to get up and I want to do things like, you know,
Yeah.
like my body was so used to exercise and lifting weights and all of that primal type of stuff that that side of myself I think got a little bit disturbed, maybe sent me that imagery as a way to like just I don't know. I think that's where it came from, though.
That's interesting. You know, it's funny because they always say that dreams manifest. Like I heard one idea about dreams is it's your brain problem solving in the most creative way possible because there's no bounds of reality. You know what I mean? And so if you're feeling or wanting something, that's kind of what you'll dream about. But it's also like your brain's ability to problem solve with less restrictions.
Imagination land.
Dude. Well, okay, so
Yeah.
moving on. uh,
That went
news.
pretty deep right there.
I know what just happened. It was supposed to just be a quote and an intro.
That's
Um,
cool.
okay, so we got some exciting news. We've got our Patreon almost up and going. We're setting up some goals on there, which is gonna be awesome. We have, oh my gosh, some of the tiers are great. One tier is, just like Patreon. Thank you. It's $1 a month tier, and then we'll also want to do prizes and stuff. So if you're a Patreon patron, you'll get access to that. We've also got stuff on there like $5 a month. We're going to start a Discord, and so we'll have a Discord server that patrons can join. And then at like $10 a month, we were talking about having let's see, no, not $10. It was $20 a month. We'll have like a workouts that Zach will program specifically for people based on your skill level. So he'll do it every month, and depending on where you're at, you can get a month worth of programming from a legit professional. And I got to tell you, Zach is really motivated me in the gym, so he can help you out. It's awesome. It's not quite done yet. We're still figuring out the levels. Oh, we're also going to do, I think, I can't remember the level. This will be a little bit higher, but we're going to do a level where Zach will not only program for you, but he will also, you can send him videos and he will also help you critique your form. So if you're having trouble with something, if something doesn't feel right, I think that's one of the most powerful things that
Ooh.
I ever experienced was having a coach. You think you're doing something right, but then I had one time Zach walked up to me and he's like, "I don't know what that is, but that's not what we're supposed to do. So let me." That's not the workout, but it helps, because I've done squats or everything my whole life, and I was doing them wrong. And so just getting back to the basics has been so helpful. So having somebody to tell you specifically for you, designed for you, what to do can help in so many ways of just movement and freedom.
I will wrap my criticism in a burrito of positivity and give it to you in a way that is positive and encouraging. And Jake I would never I never made fun of him at all.
No. Yeah, no, well, maybe a little. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. He's
Just
always
a
so
little bit.
good. He's a great trainer. And the other thing too is he's really good at like helping you break down super complicated movements. Um, and we talked about this a little on the last podcast, but like I'm starting to feel a squat. I don't know how to explain it. Or feel, what's the one, the uh the the one where the bar comes up to your shoulders. It's
Clean.
from the ground. Yeah, it's interesting because there's so many movements just to clean something. It's Olympic movement, but with Zach's help, I'm able to better. I don't know how to describe it. Just feel it, like feel the motions. Like when I first started doing it, I knew I was doing it wrong, but I didn't it was hard for me to feel it, but now it's like I can feel every movement and every step of that movement, and when I do something wrong, I understand where I messed up to improve. It's crazy. So it's awesome. It's some great programming, and it takes a while. You're not going to be able to do it overnight, but
No,
if you like, I've been doing CrossFit now for almost a year, and I'm just getting to the point where I can do overhead squats. You know what I mean? Like just now. But man, it's been an awesome journey.
that's all because of that brobility session on Broforce we did.
Yeah, probability. Oh, we did this stream for anybody that didn't catch it. We played Broforce, but then we did yoga, and we called it Brobility for mobility.
It was awesome.
It was amazing. Um, we also have a YouTube up. We YouTube is Geekfit Min Max IRL. Very basic for now. I mean, we're new to all this. I'm just figuring this out and understanding things. So please don't judge us on the simplicity of it right now. But we're uploading all of our streams and podcasts and videos to that. And we have a Facebook going, which I'm not 100% what the URL to that is. It's Geekfit. It's a Geekfit on Facebook page, but I'm not sure. I'll have to look up the URL. I'm not 100% on that one.
I
But
think it's just geek facebook.com/geekfit. Maybe.
maybe
Don't quote me on that.
I'm not sure. We're
We
still
had to
getting
look
used.
that up.
Yeah, we're not the
Just
best social media guys, but
just find us.
we're
Find
getting
us.
there. We're getting there. Our website's coming along nicely. We're gonna have a GeekFit email pretty soon. So we're everything's starting to roll into place. It's been a long process. Oh man, take a second to reflect, man. This whole GeekFit thing has taken some different turns, huh, Zach?
Yeah, I think we're still gonna use that stuff that we worked on at first. That was
Yeah.
so fun.
Yeah, well, and I think that's just going to be Patreon goals. Once the
Yeah,
Patreon's at a certain level, we can start doing some of those things. We had this idea of making dungeons, workouts that were called dungeons, and there was story behind them, which was cool. We want to make an app. There's the D&D thing we were talking about. So there's a lot on that Patreon we want to do. We just have to uh,
there's
be able to find the time. Sorry, go ahead.
there's also a wizard from another dimension
Oh,
that
yeah.
is trapped and can only communicate through me, and he needs to help people learn how to practice good movement, and only after he helps 1,000 people be able to practice that will he be able to break the curse and free himself.
and,
So
and this wizard has an arch nemesis. So the wizard's name is Broanglis. Oh crap! What is it?
Brongless,
Bronglis. Yeah. And then the evil wizard is Hypnothrax.
yes.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff we want to do. It just comes down to the time. So we'll get that Patreon up soon, and hopefully we can start dedicating more and more time to this, which will be awesome. I
Yeah.
think I don't know what are you the most excited for, Zach, out of all that stuff? It all sounds so much fun.
Gosh, Brongless is such a fun character for me to work with. Um, he's yeah. I'm excited to bring him back into the fold for sure.
Yeah, you guys should have seen Zach. He majored in what, technical writing? Was that what it was? English.
English major with technical writing minor.
Ah, yeah, you guys should have seen him when we were writing some of these stories. We had a different vision of Geek Fit at first, but when we were writing some of these stories, oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was really good. So it'll be fun to be able to bring that stuff to the forefront and share it
For
with you
sure.
guys. Oh, all right. Well, that does it for news. So gaming, I want to talk about. So I'm excited. One of my favorite games. I am such a nerd. I love playing World of Warcraft. There's a lot of cool changes going on right now in there. They just released a cinematic with one of my favorite characters, Jaina. If anybody likes that stuff and has not seen her cinematic they just released, it's worth. I mean, even if you don't, it's just an interesting comic almost. Um, so in and
The
oh, go ahead.
the last thing I remember from when I used to play a lot was that one raid where you like go back in time and Jaina's there to help you,
Oh
and
yeah.
I got that big sword from the end boss, and I killed people with it.
Oh, you got the sword from Archimond.
Cataclysm's Edge or something. Is
Yeah,
that what
yeah,
it was?
yeah.
But
And
Jaina was there like nuking stuff at one point. That's the last thing I remember of Jaina.
dude, yeah.
Just to give you some perspective on my WoW career.
Dude, that's amazing. Like that is so cool. That was BC, so that was the second expansion. And
Yeah.
what's funny you should say I was just in there. So I just started a new character, a paladin.
Hmm.
I've played a priest for 14 years or whatever, and I just decided to switch over to a paladin. And so I'm kind of going back trying to get some transmog. Well, first off, do you know what transmog is?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and so I was just in Hyjal. They've got a really cool set in there, but yeah, it's really fun to see the story in there.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm trying out a Paladin too, which is cool. That's been a lot of fun. I've been tanking on him. I'm really bad. So if you get in one of my groups and there's a Paladin in there called Lightstorm Tanking, I apologize in advance. But but I'm learning. Oh, so anyway, that's what I've been doing. Haven't really done much of a Vermintide or anything this week. But yeah, you know what? I think I'm gonna be all WoW all the time for a while. That new expansion's gonna. This is what happens with me and WoW. I get sucked in like so hard for a few months and then, but I love it.
Good times. I've been uh, playing some games when I have time, just a little bit with my kids. Shovel Knight co-op, Hyperlight Drifter co-op, and then Wii Sports Resort is always a go-to.
Wii Sports. Now,
Um,
what is Shovel Knight? I don't know what that one is.
Shovel Knight's a platformer, uh, and you can co-op with it now in an updated version of it, and it's just like a platformer where you have a shovel, you can bounce on things to get places. My 5-year-old's better than at it than I am, pretty much.
I just
Um,
Googled some images. It's literally a knight with a shovel.
he does not. River does not like it when I bounce on his head, so that can be problematic as you can use each other to bounce on up and get places. So I have to always let him bounce on my head. It's a really good test of my uh, my ability to just let him play the game and not like try to rush through it like I've always done with games. And
Uh,
it's really it's cool to play that with my son and kind of bond with him like that.
is this a Steam game or what is this?
It's on PS4. It was like $5 or something.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. That's really cool. Man,
Yeah.
yeah, I love, we've been playing that Broforce. It looks a lot like that. Um,
Yeah, kind of similar graphics, less violent.
oh, just checked on Steam, bro. Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. Oh,
Yep,
wait.
that's
Oh,
what it is.
yeah, it is on Steam.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
it's a
20,
good game.
$24. Yeah, we could play that on stream one time. I bet that'd be a great workout game.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one for
Yeah,
sure.
dude. What was the other game you were saying? I forgot what was the other thing you've been playing.
Oh, Hyperlight Drifter. That's like, it's a really cool game where the creator actually has a terminal illness that
Oh.
he's dealt with since early on in his life, and the story kind of mirrors his how he's dealt with that, and it's also pays homage to the Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, and
Oh, that's cool.
kind of has that style to it, but very futuristic, very sci-fi type of a game with a lot of RPG and exploration elements to it. Um, my cousin Jeff, otherwise known as Atlas Backbone, is his MC
Yeah.
name. His MC name. He's a very talented rap artist who needs to come on our show sometime. But anyways, he introduced me to that game, and River and I haven't played it much because it's really hard for a 5-year-old. And but we mess around. We
Dude, that's cool.
over the years, I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that's cool. I bet you just playing with him and taking it such a like because when you play by yourself, you have a different way of doing it, but playing with a toddler, I bet that's a lot harder to focus almost. You know what I mean? Or play. You have to kind of really switch gears.
Yeah, I just kind of let him get into it until he gets frustrated, and then we switch to something else. But you can see every time he plays, he gets a little better. He picks things up so fast.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I wish I had more times for games though. Man, I used to
Speaking of
have so much.
speaking of picking things up, he picked up. We were at the gym, and he picked up a 70-pound kettlebell. I was just he just ran over and picked it up. I couldn't even
Dang.
stop. And
Did
I'm like, what? You only weigh 50 pounds. And
That's like
but
a
his
body weight
he,
rep, man.
yeah, his back was straight and he used his legs. That was amazing too. Anyways,
Dude.
go ahead. What you were saying?
Well, actually, I was gonna say, it's interesting. I was watching this documentary once about working out and health, and they say, man, you ever want to know how to move or lift? You always just watch a little kid. I don't know what
Seriously.
beats out of us, but like somehow that we lose it. But like you watch a little kid run, shoulders back, head back, just going for it. You watch them lift stuff; they just do it naturally. I don't know how
Yeah.
as adults we lose that, but yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah. Gotta hang on to that. Let your kids let your kids move. Let them
Let your
hang on to that.
let your kids teach you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, I want to talk about this week in health. So what have we been doing to be healthy? So, Zach, what does your week looks like? What have you been doing to keep yourself going?
Well, every morning I wake up and I do my Wim Hof breathing cycles. I would usually do 5. I try to get at least 3 cycles in of a 1-minute retention. So it's the 30 breaths, and then on the last one you exhale, hold it as long as you can on the exhale without breathing in. Feels like it just charges me right up, and I'm ready to get after a workout after that. I'm getting ready for Masters Nationals for weightlifting, which will be my first Masters meet since I turned 35 in
Yeah,
November.
you're not young like me. Just kidding.
No,
I'm
I'm old.
34 is the joke.
I'm,
So,
I'm old now. But
Uh,
that's November 1st to 4th in Salt Lake City, Utah. So I just took the USA Weightlifting Sports Performance Coach uh, Level 1 course with Debbie Millett from USA Weightlifting. Learned a lot and improved on my technique just with her watching me for one session of maxing out.
Actually,
And
I don't want to. I don't mean to cut in, but I would be very interested to hear what she told you because when I work out with you and you're doing stuff, I don't know if you can improve on that. Like I'm like
she
that's
basically
perfection.
she basically told me to stop being such an arm dominant puller. So if it makes sense, I was using my arms too early in the pull, and so she made me wait, and it was just amazing how much improvement I can feel. That there's a lot of room for improvement there. Um, I ended up snatching 265 and clean and jerking 315 just with relative ease compared to how things have been going, just
Yeah,
with that little tweak. So,
that's interesting. Now those numbers might be a little. I don't want to say useless, arbitrary to some people. So what were you doing before this? Like, what numbers were you hitting before you had this little change?
um, let's see. So, at the end of the last strength cycle, I did 275 on the snatch and 319 on the clean and jerk. And so to get back there like 3 weeks, 4 weeks into the next cycle, like you usually do a 3 month 12 week, like a 12-week cycle where you start off low and you build yourself up. And so after it's kind of like I'm already getting close to the end of where I was at the last cycle, and I'm only like a quarter of the way through this one, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's a sign that things are going well, and that technique is definitely worth pursuing. And yeah, so
So when you say heavy, just curious. I guess well we could get into it. I don't want to get into this technique too much on a non-visual medium, but
mhm.
what was she having you do? Like lift with your back more? I'm just trying to envision.
So if you can just think of the pull like being all all pressing the floor away and using the legs in my posture until I get to the triple extension, and only then like letting my arms bend and using my traps and lats and everything.
That's
So like
interesting.
waiting way longer than I was to engage my upper body, basically.
You know,
If
um,
that makes sense.
yeah, no. Well, I mean, I guess people at home who don't know this so much might have to see that, and we could probably make a video about it. That'd be interesting to make that video.
Yeah,
But honestly, for
you can
me,
make
just
some videos.
like just because I have a little bit I knowledge, yeah, that does make a lot of sense actually.
Yeah.
It's funny. I kind of want to relate this to gaming. So the more you know, the more you know you don't know.
Yep.
As you expand your horizons, I think I was watching Neil deGrasse Tyson or listening to him, and he was talking about like as a scientist, you just try to fill in pockets of ignorance, but the bigger your knowledge radius is, also the bigger your ignorance is. You know what I'm saying? You realize how much more you don't know. And
True.
it's funny, and the way I really relate this to gaming is I've been kind of obsessed with WoW, and so you think you understand a character or how to play a spec. So what I did was is I was really interested in tanking, and I was playing in Legion. I was playing a warrior, and I started watching tanking videos on how to tank, and there was all these people, and I watched this one guy, and he was saying, "Oh, this sucks on the warrior, this is good," and then same with the paladin, this sucks and this is good. But then I was bored one day, so I watched another guy, and I just started finding random YouTubers that were doing that, and it was very interesting to see all these different opinions about what was good and what was bad. And I'd never like gone to such a length of listening to so many different perspectives. Like, I'd usually listen to one or two, but it was interesting because everybody had such a different idea. And, so I feel like when I came out of it, I have a better understanding of what I think, but also I also think that I have more to investigate. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, okay, well, I have a good base, but I wonder about this, that, and this, like things I would have never even thought of to investigate before. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and the reason I get on that is like with you, you say your technique. For me, I would have never. I thought you would have showed her a thing or two. You know what I mean? Just because me watching you, but there's always something else to learn in life. There's always something else you can improve on. You're never static.
Yeah, you got to have that mentality about everything.
Yeah,
You can't be that person. Once you think you've figured something out, like you're not, you like, why would you just stop your progress? Like, you've got to keep searching for knowledge.
dude. Yeah. You know, it's funny at work. Sometimes the guys will be like, because sometimes I'll work 6 days a week, and then the only day off I get is Sundays or whatnot. And some of the guys kind of comment, they're like, why do you do that? Or they'll make comments about stuff like that. But then in the same breath, they'll talk about how they don't have any money and how they're stressed. And the way I view it, it's like you're either growing or not. You're either spending money. Think about what you do when you're off. You spend money. When you're working, you're making money. It's one, you're moving forward or backwards, you know?
It's true.
And so it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, man. I don't know. It's interesting how people's brains work. And anyway, sorry, that was a long rabbit hole.
No, you're good. It makes
Okay,
sense.
so now you got on here on our thing here, 20 rep squats. Explain this insanity to people.
Well, it kind of goes along with getting ready for Masters Nationals and kind of goes with my personality of I just like doing really challenging things. So I'm in the general physical preparedness phase, which means there's a lot of conditioning, a lot of uh, a lot of higher reps, lower weight type of stuff. So I'm finishing up this phase with uh, last 2 weeks of the 6 week 20 rep squat cycle where you take like what would be a decent amount of weight for 5 when you start. So that was 308 for me. And then you take 6 weeks of that where you start. So 6 times 5 is, or 6 weeks, 3 times a week is 18. 18 workouts. You're going to go up 5 pounds each workout about. So
Jeez.
18 times 5 is whatever, 50 plus,
Listen,
nine, whatever.
listen.
And
I
then
lift heavy things. I don't do
is
math.
this, so yeah. So basically you subtract that from 308 and then you start there and you do the 20 reps 3 days a week, add 5 pounds every time. So this next week is going to be, tomorrow is going to be uh, 285, 290, 295. And then the next week is going to be 300, 305, 308.
Jeez. 20 times. I
That's
that's
that's the plan. General physical preparedness. I know a lot of people would say that it's too much and it's not really in the ranges that a traditional weightlifter would want to be in, and that's true, but it's just kind of what I'm feeling. It's what I
yeah.
want to do. It's it's something that I just want to get through, and knowing that I can get through that helps me get through other challenging situations.
It's sometimes it's about mental toughness as
Exactly.
much as yeah, dude. What about eating, man? So you still doing the same thing as far as diet? Still feeling that?
Yeah, I'm still doing pretty well with that. Um, Fasting until about 11 or 12, sometimes longer. Staying on fats and proteins until after 6 p.m., where I have some fruit or some raw honey, um,
Yeah.
that good stuff, veggies, sweet potatoes. Uh, yeah,
Wait,
I've been feeling that.
what about donuts?
I have not. I have my treats are like dark chocolate and honey,
I'm
in
just
which
kidding.
I'm
Stay away
fine
from
if
donuts.
people like to eat donuts, that's great. And fasting is has been really a new thing for me since I got out of the hospital. Like I just started feeling like I should fast because I was fasting without um wanting to, because out of just like I couldn't eat. And so it was something that I wanted to get myself more acclimated to just in case I ever had to go without food again. And I'm really seeing the mental aspects of it. Like it's like so many of my food urges are just coming from like my brain expecting me to eat because that's what I've always done. Like I don't need to eat every 4 hours. Does that make sense?
Dude, like 110%. Like it's hard because when you talk to people about fasting,
They get all like, "Oh,
like
you have problems."
yeah. Well, and so, but for me, you know what I think about though? It's their set point because people will try to do what's normal, but their set point, I feel I'm starting to wonder if everybody's set point is off. You know what I mean?
Our normal has gotten
Yeah.
way out of hand.
Dude, well, I'm starting to discover that I don't need food every day. I explained it like this the other time because, a lot of people, what are the biggest things of fasting? They say, oh, you're going to put on weight longer or more, or it's unhealthy. I had one guy tell me, your body's going to not like that. It's going to be in shock or something. But at the end of the day, if you think about it, like we evolved, like that's the whole point of fat. Fat is just stored energy for when we can't get food. That's why
Yeah.
I was reading that's one of the major ways mammals just survived and thrived over other animals was
Oh yeah.
because of our ability of fat. So anyway, my point is if we have a system in our body that is, fasting and in using the fat, I doubt that system would, if we ever use that system would be unhealthy. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem, right to me. And I feel like, I- as I've been experimenting with fasting, like today I didn't eat anything until dinner, so I'm kind of doing, the more warrior diet. And then, anyway, long story short, um,
Mhm.
I find myself on my high days where I can eat whatever I want when I'm not fasting, quote unquote. Um, I'm not near as hungry as I would be, before. Like I feel like my stomach has
Yeah.
shrunk, number one, and number two. when I do fast, it's not even a thing. Like I'll find myself get hungry, but then I just make the decision to not eat, and I don't get all headachy and weak, and my body's like I'm able to get back into ketosis so much easier, you know.
Hmm.
And it's not this arduous thing, and it's crazy. But you want to know the best success story and what makes me feel so good is I was talking about my diet at work, and there's a kid there. He's the manager, and he's kind of toying with the same thing, doing some fasting and stuff. And dude, he's telling me like, bro, he's like, my biggest problem was eating all the time, and he's like, now I make the decision not to eat, and I've discovered that I'm only eating out of boredom. And as I don't eat, and I make that decision to not eat, and I've kind of given some suggestions about what I'm doing. He's like, yeah, I find myself eating when I'm hungry, but not when I'm bored. It's a mental thing. And I'm like, that's so awesome. So it's like, somebody else kind of making that discovery is really cool.
Yeah, it's there's so many benefits to it. You discover you get a better relationship with your own like needs as far as food goes. If and you also get a little bit more disciplined and a little bit maybe more tough in the sense that you're not like whining and crying and getting hangry if you don't eat every 4 hours, which
Mm.
I was like that a lot. And there's so much science and and stuff on this topic that I can't really like go into because I haven't like taken enough time to really get into it. But just looking at some stuff today, this Dr. Dom D'Agostino, who was on the Tim Ferriss podcast,
Oh, this
he
is crazy.
fasted he fasted for 7 days and then he hit 500-pound deadlift for 10 reps after a 7 day fast. So
What is that?
like 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 we have in our and this is just like what I'm observing from that fact that that happened. Like we have in our DNA the capability to be strong and produce some like super great like human growth hormone and like really good hormones and from the fasted state. And as far as human performance goes in this day and age, like I think we're barely scratching the surface of what fasting and also like the Wim Hof method and that cold exposure type of stuff. Like
Yeah,
what kind of like
dude. Yeah.
chemistry is that causing to go on? Like can can we create a super like a superhuman like non-steroid like you know what I mean? Like
Vitamins, just
yeah,
vitamins.
vitamins. Yeah, can we create that type of a physiological response from just um, changing our habits and changing our environment rather than like injecting vitamins into our butt, which highly highly I don't I've never done that and I don't recommend it because um you
You'll
know
die.
who knows what the heck's going to happen with that. like 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 I mean do it if you want to and you feel like you have an expert in the field, but I'm saying I'm trying to do that with my environment and with changing my habits. And I think there's a lot of good results that I've already seen. Like I'm 230, 225 to 230 now, almost back up to the same weightlifting numbers that I was at when I weighed close to 260
Yeah.
and much leaner, much less joint pain, much less joint pain.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
there's got there's a lot to be said for these practices.
Yeah, dude.
I don't
Yeah.
mean to ramble.
Well, I mean, and the fasting, and it's like we always talk about, like there's the working out, which is part of it, but there's so much more to being healthy than just lifting every day. Um,
Yeah.
the Wim Hof does a lot with breathing and your mentality. The fasting, helps your body recover, does a lot just physically, like internally, working out, stretching, yoga, all that comes into play. And like you said, building superhuman, I think that somebody like that, not superhuman, but pushing the boundaries of what we can do physically and mentally, I think is just um, perfecting that balance. I vision that somebody who's just a Buddha and a CrossFitter, right? I don't know. Oh,
There's definitely some monk elements to my personality, um, because I don't know. I just dig that cold. Like I just like it. I don't know. I like getting into that mind state. That's like there's this thing that everyone else would be like, "Oh, that's terrible. Get out of there. Like, why are you sitting outside in the cold?" And there's this part of me that's like, "Oh, I kind of like it." So
yeah.
you guys are weird, and I'm normal.
You're the weird one. That's so funny. Oh
I don't
man.
know.
Well,
Like
I think. Oh, go ahead.
like my sister posted on Facebook that she was mad about how cold it was in Bradford, PA, which that's just like, come on, you live in Bradford, Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, it's cold all the time.
Yeah,
And I was like,
you signed up for
temperature,
it.
yeah. And I was like, temperature is so mental, bro. And then I felt like a jerk because obviously, she's a different person than I am, and she feels the cold a lot more, especially with her blood pressure being low, which I know that because when I got out of the hospital, I couldn't handle the cold nearly as well when my blood pressure was really messed up. So,
Yeah, dude.
but it's my sister, and I can be a jerk if I want
What are siblings for? Oh.
to.
Yeah, we should next podcast we should talk a lot more about the cold and the heat and some of the studies we've
Hmm.
read on that, you
Oh
know,
yeah,
and how you're doing with
you
the
gotta
sauna.
you gotta come jump in the sauna
See,
sometime.
that's one thing I need to. I was getting, dude, I haven't done the cold shower in a while, and I need to get back into that. But I noticed I'm having a hard time tolerating heat, so I need to acclimate myself better. I need to get in the sauna with you, and we just sweat it out. Two
Be
sweaty
good.
naked dudes. I'm just kidding. I don't want
No,
to be naked.
no.
No, no.
You have to wear shorts.
Dang it. No, I go all natural, Zach, or nothing. Just
I'm not going in there.
I'm not going in there. Can you at least wear a towel so your sweaty butt's not on my
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, well, I think that's a good ending point. Did you have any closing thoughts, my friend?
Oh man, I just thank anyone that's listening to this. If you're out there, thank you for listening to us. Thank you for tuning in. I hope we can be of some help to you. If you have any questions, hit us up on the Facebooks or on the YouTubes or wherever you can find us. Um, my Facebook is Zachary Mo Brodus. Uh, so yeah, just anybody that's listening, I just want to say we're here to answer some questions if you might have them, or just help you out. So hit
Heck
us
yeah.
up.
That's what we want to do. Hit us up and help you out in life or pwn some noobs, man. Whatever you want to do. Like, we're down.
Rock and roll. Yes.
Okay, so I chose a quote for our outro. Um, Change is not always growth, but growth is often rooted in change. Drizzt Do'Urden. Durden. Crap, I messed that up.
Drizzed.
Drizzt. All right, everyone. Have a great night. Bye.
Peace. Oh yeah, we got the
I'm playing the
outro.
outro. It's all the. It's like the. What is that? Do they dab?
That's what I do. My 14-year-old wants to punch me.